Miami has been completed. I know that we had Fort Lauderdale yesterday, which was completed. So any questions or things that you guys may have from the show, because additionally, really right now, as we start off, everybody's really got to have all their certifications done. At this point, there's really almost no excuse for having them completed, having them done, and having all of your teams kind of ready to go. Just one last, shot over the bow, so to speak. Let's just kind of go through it. I just want to make sure we all are aware where everything is, making sure that we're all accessing it and you got your training done. Because even as early as yesterday with my team, which I've been talking about it ad nauseum, all of a sudden some people were waking up and saying, oh, where is it? How do I do it? How do I access it again? So as we get in here, we come up into sales and training materials, a bunch of new stuff that are here. That they keep on adding 2018 things, which is a beautiful thing. So we have our video and talking points for the preferred HMO. That's Medicare, obviously, that's out there now. But they've got a lot of new job aids, 2018 plan matrix, a lot of good stuff that's starting to get added. The requirements, though, I mean, really, that's really where it's. What did they do with it? Oh, of course, now it's down here. Because they added that yesterday. The Florida Blue Learning, you're gonna now. You remember it used to be like right here, but and they moved it as of yesterday. That's kind of funny. So Florida Blue Learning, we're gonna click on the Florida Blue Learning. That's gonna open up our new tab, depending on how your settings. And then of course you come up to your library books, click on your library books, and you have a whole bunch of curriculum that you see over here. So just to kind of review, first. Foremost, everybody has to have this done. It was supposed to be done on the 18th. I don't know how hard they're holding everyone to it, but there's the ACA for agents and brokers. That's your only required course or required document that you have to do with Florida Blue. If you haven't done it today or up until now, my advice would be to get going and do it as soon as we get off the call. It'll take you a whopping 5 to 10 minutes. If it takes any longer than that, you got issues with no tissues. Is everyone hearing me? Because a couple people are saying that they're having difficulty hearing me. Hearing music? I don't have any music playing. There is no hold music on this. Yes, you hear music, or yes, you can hear me, Peter. Fantastic. Thanks, George. Okay, so moving on. As I said, you're going to complete this ACA for agents and brokers. And as we're talking about ACA, let's just go one step further. I did recommend the open enrollment product portfolio training. So inside the open enrollment period training, there's 7 modules in here. I really found that the 2018 product as well as the segment updates were very valuable. I think that for newer agents, the system enhancements is also very good. As many of you saw and you started to learn yesterday, and we mentioned it, a little bit about the link and the enrollment link, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. So that's going to be your requirement. Remember, ACA requirement is this ACA for brokers. Got to get that done and make that sure that's finished. Then you've got your Medicare core curriculum. If you're going to sell Medicare, if at any point in time you're going to want to talk about Medicare, you're going to want to complete it. Once you complete the core curriculum, that will open up the product. And then you will complete the product, and that will encompass all segments of the product from the DSNP to the HMO, the PPO, the LPPO, and all the other stuff that all the new names, all the new changes, and la-di-da-di, you'd like to party. Then you'll be done. So then you'll be ready to sell. Then what's going to happen is we've also reminded everyone just one last time, make sure you send in your certifications to Florida Blue. That is FFM certifications at Florida Blue. Just as we've done in the past. I know that there was not an agent service bulletin confirming that, but I'd rather everybody get it over to that mailbox so it's there. Also, you were going to need your user ID, especially for new agents. So what happens is that user ID that populates when you go from Blue Cross through to the marketplace, it's going to populate that username. Remember that username and password combination that you use here. It's going to be that same username and password combination that you use when you get into Florida Blue. Now, if that's changed or there's any issues with that, or you're not able to access the marketplace from Blue Cross, from our enrollment platform, then that needs to be done again because that will verify. You could also call agent services and open up a ticket if you're having those problems. We had a few reported problems with that. That's why I'm mentioning it. So those of you that everybody should really know at this point, but we process an application, and when we process that application, when we're going to our marketplace plans, going out to the marketplace is when you're going to get that. I'm logged in as a delegate, so mine's not there. Okay, so that will cover all of your required training. I mean, that's going to get you done, and you should be ready to rock and roll, and make sure that that's done. Martin's asking, are we supposed to send in our Medicare or ACA certificates to Florida Blue? I recommended the ACA certificates being sent in to FFM certifications the same way that we did it last year. I could put that email address that we had, but there was an agent service bulletin on there about completing it. However, it didn't list to send it in. I couldn't get a straight answer from leadership, quite honestly, so I recommend doing it, whether it needed to be sent in or not. Now, the Medicare certificate does not need to be sent in. They had reported, Giggy and I were talking with Florida Blue the other day, and, they had reported that they had a huge number of people that have yet to complete their certifications. So definitely check with your teams. And, if they're asking or they're telling you, yeah, I'm done, I finished it, just make sure it's done. Go in there, take a look at it. We'll be getting some reports from Florida Blue that will show us who has not completed their certification for Medicare. Now, the ACA certification that needs to be done on the portal, that's something that they'll get reports on and who's completed it as well. I just don't know if they're going to be sharing that with us. I believe there's a way for you to download the people who have registered it. Gig, is that over here? Where do they find that? Yeah, can't they get a list of the NPNs that have completed it? Does Blue Cross have that still? Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay. So there's a searchable, not a searchable, a download that you can do for all the NPN numbers that have completed it on CMS, but it's just going to show the NPN number. So then you'd have to go through and search your team. A little bit cumbersome, but I think that's how Blue Cross is going to do like a VLOOKUP and check it and make sure everybody's done. So we'll see how that goes. But we're getting down to the wire, right? So we've got, a whopping 10 days left until we can really start talking about Medicare. So that's going to be exciting that we can really start spurring up that conversation as of October the 1st. And then, there was talks, and there hasn't been a final answer on when off-marketplace ACA is going to open. If you've gone through some of the training, as we've talked about in years past, they talk about October the 1st, and we have done that. We have gotten that ability every year, but this year it is not going to open on October the 1st. So in my conversations with leadership, they told me the 15th, they told me the 12th, now they're talking possibly the 4th. So the real answer is we don't know. We will probably know on or about the 27th. So on the 27th, we will get that information and know when opening day is. I think that would be nice if we had our compensation packages before we had opening day. As promised by leadership at Florida Blue, those of you that were at our meetings, as we do the leadership conferences, they promised that we would have that information, and here we are, 9/21, and we still don't have it. Wonderful. But we know that we're going to have a successful year. We know that we're going to have lots of opportunity. And let's talk a little bit about the pathways. Now, I will spend much more time once the business rules and compensation is released on best practices, pathways of enrollment, different things on how we should be spending, our time overall. So we'll talk more about that once the business rules come out. We are waiting for the business rules from Florida Blue, so we understand where we're going to spend and where we spend the most of our marketing money and most of our time. Because as we know, the thing that we have the least of this year is time. So we have to be efficient and effective. So in the roadshow, when you guys went to the roadshow, those of you that have done it already, or as you've been listening to me, we've talked about this processing link. So I want to spend a few minutes on this URL because I had a bunch of questions yesterday, which I was shocked. Agents saying that they had never heard of it before. Well, we've discussed it, and I want to touch on it one last time. We will be able to get this processing link, and you as agency owners will be able to access this link and prepare that link for your team. As an agent, just a regular agent, you cannot create your own link. That link has to be created from your agency owner. So I believe it's a delegate 3 that would have to be able to do that or higher. So what will happen is you'll log in, you'll end up creating this custom link. This custom link is going to be directly for each one of your agents. So what would happen is Mark Carbellano would have his link. I'm talking to a customer. I could send that customer my link, and that customer can see all the plans, run a quote, run a subsidy eligibility, and enroll. All of that time, me, Mark Carbellano, being the agent, getting credit, or you, Orlando, or Matt, or Martin, you guys getting credit for it. You'll be able to have this for the agency, and you'll be able to have this for the agent. So that's going to be option 1. Very exciting to be able to do that, especially you'll be able to do renewals with this tool as well. So I would be able to send that same tool, that same link to a customer, and then they can complete their renewal. That renewal will be completed in IST, and then they would get credit for that. You would get credit for that as well. The other option is going to be a proposal, and that proposal is going to allow me to highlight 3 plans. I would send that over to my customer. Now, if you are appointed with US Able products, you will also be able to include the US Able ancillary products in that quote and proposal. I would send that proposal to the customer that would highlight these 3 or 4 plans. But also, they have the option to view more plans, and they would be able to see a full listing of all options for themselves in that county, in their family. Again, obtaining a subsidy and completing the enrollment, all without your assistance. So before you get super excited, yeah, it all sounds wonderful. We've seen screenshots of this. Those of you that have done the road show, you've seen the screenshots as well. But when the rubber hits the road, we have to make sure that there's no bugs. I'm sure there will not be. I'm sure it will work smoothly and flawlessly with absolute no problems. But I would manage your expectations as well that not all people are going to complete that process, because just people don't do it. They're going to pick up the phone and call, right? That's why they do. That's what they do. You will have a segment of your population that will do it, but as we look at it, we'll have to see how it goes. It's really good for those people who have simple, easy enrollments, because the way that the double redirect works and worked last year is that, even with us in Blue Cross, we started in the Blue Cross website, and then we went out to the marketplace. We looked up the application. We found the application. We did the life event. We added our MPN. We got the eligibility. We came back into Blue Cross, and then we finished it. Those of you that have been doing this for a couple of years know that 2 years ago, before they changed that rule, we were able to do an enrollment, and not just in IST, but in a lot of third-party web broker entities. We were able to complete an enrollment without ever going to the marketplace. They would stage that application, and then after they stage that application, it automatically gets processed in the background on the marketplace, and everybody's right as rain, because it took you all of 3 to 5 minutes to type the application out. So it's going to be really nice to see this process. I'm excited about it. I'm just not trying to get too excited about it because, obviously there can always be little quirky stuff. We have been assured that there will be no Blue Cross phone numbers on it, agency phone numbers, agent phone numbers only, no way to get back to the Blue Cross homepage, and then we'll have to see what they're going to do as far as, notifications. I know that there's going to be an email notification when someone completes it and some different things like that. But again, we will know in another 7 days. That's supposed to release on the 28th. So 7 days, yes. The 28th is when we're supposed to get that access, and I'll be holding our breath, and so hopefully it's going to be perfect. It's going to be great. Should definitely make things easier. Okay? Let me just see. Gig is answering questions that are coming in, so thank you. So it's exciting. That link is also going to be for Medicare as well. But, as we know, Medicare enrollees and beneficiaries typically are not as interested in doing things remotely on the computer, but, things are getting better. It's funny. I had a conversation with an agency who will remain nameless, who doesn't sell Medicare, getting into the Medicare and something that they're starting to do. And in our conversation, as we were talking, he asked me, well, when you're processing an application for Medicare, you just process the application. How do you do it? Never done it. And, we were talking through it, and he had gotten some advice from some other agency owners and on some other partners with Blue that he could just process that application just by processing it. Just, read the screen and process it on Medicare. I want to warn everybody on this call that you must use the appropriate pathways to complete an enrollment. And I really don't think that anybody on this call is going to kind of play with that, or kind of operate in that gray. But when you're dealing with Medicare, you really can't screw around. You can't go and just process an application with a customer without them seeing it. There are requirements that you need to do. There's an agent checklist that has to be completed. And CTMs and CMS can come down on you like a pile of rocks and really make your life miserable. And because of that, you have to do things the right way. So don't take any liberties with Medicare. Get your customer on a web share. That is, more and more our Medicare beneficiaries love doing that. It's like watching a commercial. It's safer, right? They don't have to have somebody coming into their house, nobody knocking on their door. It's going to be a much smoother process. You can be in your underwear. I can be in my underwear. Everybody's happy, right? You have to do a web share. If you're not going to do a web share, you're going to have to use the telephone enrollment line and transfer them to the telephone enrollment line, or do a paper application. But don't mess around with it, because if you lose your opportunity to sell Medicare, that is a major problem. CMS don't play. And the other thing that I'm going to urge everybody about is making sure that you've got those checklists. We had a few CTMs this year, more than I would like to have. And, with those CTMs comes a big fat pain in the derriere. But, many agents took liberties of not completing correctly, or what I would refer to as a complete checklist. They half-assed it. And that's not really acceptable. I mean, you got to talk with your teams, make sure if they're selling Medicare that they're following the right pathway, that they're doing everything in a compliant manner. And I'm telling you this to scare you. I'm just saying do the right thing, because I was, utterly shocked to hear that he thought he could just process the application. It absolutely blew me away. So, with all applications, you're going to have multiple paths to complete them. So, if you're talking about ACA, obviously a Join Me is, some sort of web share is advised on all of your applications. You have, the marketplace that you can call with the member on the line. They can complete the application. You could do the link, which is going to help a great deal for people who want to do it later, don't have trust issues, whoever it may be, and you can't get through them. You also have the disconnected application where I can complete the application, send it to the customer, and then they would enter in their 6-digit code. We call that the telephonic application in order to complete it that way as well. So, you have so many different ways to complete an application compliantly. There is really no excuse not doing it. When you come to Medicare, same thing goes. You're going to have a 3-way phone call. You can do a telephonic enrollment. You have the web share option. You have the disconnected app, which is that telephonic application, again, where I complete it. I give Mrs. Jones the code. She, enters that code to open the application, and everything is right as rain. She signs it. And then, of course, good old paper. I know we hate it. Paper sucks, excuse the expression, but you still have it. So just wanted to touch on that and make sure everybody was comfortable. You are speaking of a checklist and scope of appointment forms. Do you know there will be new ones this year? I've looked online. All the see is formularies, no forms, enrollment kits, nothing yet for 18. Well, they just put a whole bunch of stuff in there for 18, George, this morning, because as I came in, I saw basically a whole bunch of stuff. So all this 18 stuff, well, Yeah, because the Florida Blue Learning, so the 18 sales videos are in here and talking points. So maybe they did some work last night and caught up on it. So I'd have to check, but it has not been out there. Will the checklist be the same or different? I think that the checklist will remain the same. I mean, their checklist that Florida Blue requires is very minimal. We have a checklist that we work with our teams. It's a little bit more robust, has a few more things on it that I think are important. Will you be sending out Medicare supplies, or do I order them? I think you had to already order them. The ordering that was weeks ago, but I would get with Gigi on that, Holly, because I don't order the supplies. But I remember reading the agent service bulletins and seeing all the notes from the area managers that it had to be done, and those orders, had to be done a while ago, if I'm not mistaken. I'll let Gig answer that, though. All right, so those of you that went to the roadshow, you've definitely learned a lot. Does anybody have, I can send you a copy of it, George. You can take a look at it and then personalize it. Justin, you're going to have to get with Mr. Falco on ordering. We talked a little bit about the URL. I guess maybe a better question is, anybody on the call done any of the training here for open enrollment? Because I think this is going to, has anybody done any of this, specifically the product and the segment updates? So, okay, let's just see. Yes, all of it. No, yeah, okay. So a lot of people not responding. Maybe we're just not able to. I advise it. And the reason why I advise it, because they talk a lot, especially about those segment updates. You're going to learn a lot of information. I don't want to steal the thunder through it. We can do it next week when we go through it, because most people will have been to a roadshow. Down in Fort Myers, all of our agents down there, you're probably going to get a web release or some sort of meeting, like an online meeting like we're doing right now, to release that roadshow for you guys due to the hurricane and the effects that are there. So, Tampa, we have next week our roadshow in Tampa, which should be fun. And I know that that's always exciting times. It's just, it's all kinds of good stuff in here. But, they're going to talk a lot about the same stuff that they do at the roadshow, but a little bit more detail. So that being said, did anybody that go to the roadshow hear anything, have any questions about what you heard? Something that we should talk about as a group, because I'm sure that there are questions that came up. Happy that there are more agent service reps. Yes, well, maybe, as long as they know what they're talking about when you answer. We had a conversation yesterday with an agent service rep that told us that the flu shot that is free is only available during flu season. So you got to be careful with making sure, they're going to have a lot of new agent service reps. Hopefully they get them trained appropriately. I would still remind you to get a reference number on every phone call. Have you heard any news about relaxing the scope of appointment? Great question, Martin. Yes, I have. Florida Blue has recognized and seen the documentation that came out from United. We all do know, and maybe I should reiterate this, we've all heard that United is going to be dropping silver sneakers, I hope. So that, that's exciting times. So they are actually going to have a health fitness program, but it's not going to be silver sneakers. They bought some other company and working with some other type of fitness program. So, that's actually good. It's talking points. It's probably going to be very similar to silver sneakers, but it's just going to be called something different. So that'll be interesting to see what the reaction is to that, but that does give us something to talk about with them. So, Bill, you're asking a question about renewals and active renewals and passive renewals. Until we all get our compensation addendum and know what the business rules are, it's not really something that that we can discuss, because until we sign off on what it's going to be, heaven only knows. We all know that we've gotten some ideas of where things are going to end up and pan out to be, but the finalization of it is it's not out yet. We haven't signed it. Nobody has. So don't think that you're left out in the dark because you haven't. Nobody has. Believe me, it's driving me absolutely batty. What I will tell you that you have to understand, and we talked about this before, so this is really important, is they're going to protect your AOR. So, we had a big, call it bastardization of the process last year, and it was robbing Peter to pay Paul. So what we are going to be doing is concentrating on our own books of business. So in other words, if a customer is Bill Askin's customer, that customer is going to remain Bill Askin's customer if he remains blue, which he is now, right? They protected the AOR now. But from a compensation standpoint, you're going to need to manage your book of business. If you end up talking to someone else, like if you talk to one of our customers, you're going to want to send them back to Blue Cross or back to A&B. And that's going to be one of it's going to be challenging to know how that's going to go and how that's going to work. But until we sign off on it, that's what we know right now, the very vague rules. But we know that they're going to protect that AOR, which they did, and compensation is going to flow with that AOR. So we're not going to want to spend time on Blue Cross's other CGA's MA agent-owned business. And take you through it. Customer comes in. I enrolled with Mark Carbellano last year. Mark Carbellano is an agent. Yes, you're going to have some sort of lookup tool. You'll be able to see, if he is with a CGA, if there is a way for you to make money on that sale. And then you're going to say, okay, I can help you, or okay, I can't help you. You're going to have to call Blue Cross. So that's in the works on how that's going to look. And, I know we're getting to the 11th hour, but, that's kind of the pathway. So it's going to be interesting to see, but it's going to stop a lot of people from bouncing around and talking to one agent to the next agent to the next agent to the next agent, getting a different answer. You're going to really need to make sure that your customers know who you are and know that they should come and talk to you for any help, any assistance, any renewal assistance. And then we are going to fish for new business. We're going to fish for new business, and we're going to fish for people who don't have an agent, who went unassisted. Remember, there are 500,000 people that bought on the marketplace with no assistance. There are 213,000 or so, approximately, give or take, Molina customers that are hopefully going to experience a gigantic rate increase, which would be wonderful for us. Not for them, for us. But, we won't know until the bell rings. We have 20,000 Humana people that are going away because Humana is pulling out. So we've got AM Better, who's going to come in strong in some different areas to give us a little bit of competition, which is, is good. Competition is healthy. We need competition. But the books of business that are already enrolled and they have an agent are not going to be worth anything. So we're just going to have to walk away from those people and get them back to Blue Cross. But how those numbers all pan out, what that looks like, is yet to be known. So my crystal ball is broken, and if I did have it, I'd have the lotto numbers. What if they enrolled online? If they enrolled without any assistance online on the marketplace, they're up for grabs. That is called a Z code. There will be a compensation tied to a Z code, I'm sure. I don't know. But those would be up for grabs. Z codes are up for grabs. I have an agent, not up for grabs. I went to the Blue store, not up for grabs. I called 1-800 Blue Cross and enrolled on the phone with Jackie Coffey's unit and telesales, not up for grabs. You're going to maintain your book of business. You're going to look for new business, and you're going to look for those Z codes. That's what you're going to have to find. So it's going to be a challenging year, but I think there's a ton of people out there that need assistance, and we should be in a good place. All right. I think I've answered everybody's questions on this. Ooh, nice. Did you make those? Oh, very nice. Cookies. All right. Do I have any other questions? So as you guys are thinking about any other questions from the roadshow, we'll see you at the other roadshows. I'll be at the one in Tampa more than likely. Get this training done. We will, I think next week and the week after, really start digging into training on Medicare. But I mean, Medicare is pretty basic this year. We shouldn't have to spend a whole bunch of time on it. We have got good product this year. Our regional PPO, or what is it, the choice PPO, looking very good. Looking like we're in a good place. So I think that our HMO products are sound, and hopefully the online provider directory gets resolved. So let me touch on that really quick before I let everybody go. I almost forgot. So in the infinite wisdom of Florida Blue, they made a change to the online provider directory. I'm trying to find out if they're going to change it back or what they are doing. I know that one or two of you might have noticed this, but let's just tell you what you're going to problem you're going to pop up now. Let's see, maybe it'll actually work. So typically when I went and I searched for a doctor, and I searched for Dr. Smith, and I am looking for Dr. Smith, and I am looking for all doctors, and I do a search. When I came in here, and let's please say that they fixed it, and I find Dr. Smith at the diagnostic clinic, and I clicked on him. Damn it. Sorry, it's not there. Previously, it showed plans selected, plans accepted, and it listed all of the plans that they had taken. Now it does not. So how do you work it? Now you'd have to go back. This just means I need to redo a bunch of my training videos as well. Okay, so they reviewed this at the roadshow, and is this going to stay? So, Ellen, you went to the roadshow and you spoke to George, you spoke to him about it. This is the way that it's staying? This is a joke. Or you're kidding me. You're ruining my day. It's stupid. So anyway, it's going to take you twice as long to do anything, right? Because now if I want to see if Dr. Smith takes Blue Select or My Blue, I got to do 3 searches instead of 1. I hate it, but they don't listen to me anyway, apparently. Okay, well, I'll find out if they're going to make any enhancements to it, because I think it's just a little silly. Let me just see something here. No, don't like it. Well, there you have it. Ruined all of our days then. Well, the reason is probably because they don't want a customer picking the wrong one and seeing it, and because of all the subtleties, but we're not customers, and maybe they're going to say that it has to feed the new app or whatever the database it is, and who knows, but none of it really helps us. So what are the 3 steps? So if I saw Matt and I'm looking for Matt Smith, I come back up. Now I got to change the plan if I started with Blue Options, because previously in our trainings, we'd start with Blue Options, then we go and we could look for the other ones. But now I change it to Blue Select. I have to do another search for Dr. Smith, so it's going to take me twice as long. Yes, the locations, right? But we understand the locations and all of that. It's just ridiculous because we can look at the address. So they may be proud of it. I'm not. Bravo, Blue. Yay. All right. So after you guys get through some of that training on the ACA, I think, next week we can cover some Medicare questions, because everybody should be done with that by then. And then, of course, I want to delve into, my Prime. I want to talk a little bit about product on ACA, so that way we're all on the same page. I know that some people are still making mistakes with the formulary, the tiers, the lookup of the tiers, and all that stuff. So we need to make sure that that we're all on the same page with that. So we cover that more after everybody gets through those product and segment updates. Many of you said you were going to do it this weekend, so no sense in going through it until that's done. All right. So anybody have any other questions? I'm going to go pound my head against the wall a little bit because I feel like that today. Thank you, George. All right. Well, everybody have a great day. We will talk to you all next week, and thank you for the time. I'll see some of you at the roadshow, possibly in Tampa, and talk to you soon. Thank you. Have a great day. Just 1 second.